Welcome to the first of our two evenings. One now, one at the halfway point in the season. And thank you for coming. At one stage it looked like this table might have more on it than might have been out there. So, given it's a beautiful sunny evening, it's much appreciated. Thank you very much. Because at the end of the day, it's not just your opportunity to ask the board, it's our opportunity to communicate directly rather than through Ben or Peter or even the videos and the interviews that lead us. It's important. It's very important. And to that end, I've got here a stack of questions which I suspect, I hope, will come from the floor in any event, in which case I shall relate to those people that we've already asked the questions. But if possible, I'd like as many questions from the floor, whether that's about the team, its formation, whether it's about the T-bars, whether it's about the Puma kit, whether it's about whether there's any investment, there is an investment, anything, regulator, I mean, you name it. If it can come from the floor first, I think that's, that'd be more appropriate. But if not, there is, as I say, a stack of questions that people have asked which sort of mirror anything that I hope that you'll be able to ask. So don't be shy. We're filming, so if Popcorn feels watching, or anybody else for that matter, sorry about the casual attire, but it is 30 degrees, so, supposed to wear jacket and ties at all times, but I think we'll excuse boots this evening. It'll be on YouTube later. I assume we'll cut out the questions from Billy about throw-ins. Well, nothing personal, Billy. The steps is a good question, perfectly prepared to answer that because it goes on and on. John's got the mic, he'll wander around and we'll throw the floor on to one and all.
My question's about a player that we haven't got anymore. I know a lot of people rate him very highly. Jordan Hodkin. What was the reasons for releasing him? Didn't you think he was good enough?
Good evening. Thanks for coming. Look, we have to make judgments on players all the time. Obviously now not having the 21s for the development for him to move forward. So then decisions sort of go back to how we used to make decisions around that and how we would get to the first team. We thought that the best chance for Jordan to go off and earn a living in the game was to go and branch out and explore the options that he's got. I'm not exactly sure where he's at in the minute with that, but we felt that was the best options for him because we didn't see him playing in the first team over the next 12 months. We have to be honest, and we have to be honest with the players, and sometimes they're tough conversations to have, but you've got to do stuff that's right for the player as well, right for the club, right for the player. We thought that was the best option.
He's playing in the 6th tier.
Is he?
Shoot the read.
Is that where he is?
Yeah.
Look,
He's miles too good for that.
well, time will tell, won't it?
Well, I watched the youth team and the under-21s last season and the season before, and he stood out. I thought he did, anyway.
Yeah, look,
You're professionals.
No.
I'm an amateur.
No, but that's the beauty of it. It's about opinions, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're totally about opinions. We'll pick somebody on a Saturday and somebody will think whoever's on the bench should be playing in front of him. It's all about opinions. It's good for him that he is out, but if that's where he's at, is it Marine? It's good that he's doing that. That's the best advice that we give them. Go and play football. Don't go and join another 21s team. Go out there, score some goals, and hopefully he's the next James Vardy.
I hope he comes back here.
Yeah, if he scores plenty of goals and moves back up, then we'll ask your opinion about signing him.
Thank you.
Don't be shy.
This one for you, Charles. You mentioned football regulator. Recently, i.e. last week, the FA made their proposal for funding to the FL. Are we likely to see any development on that, and what's it like to be worth to the club?
It wasn't the FA. It was the Premier League, not the FA.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just for everybody else, I know you know.
Yeah, my apologies, yeah.
The discussions between the Premier League and the Football League about how fair the funding is and how much the Premier League gets and how they don't need any of the rest of us to get all their money, and the rest of the divisions are a bit irrelevant. And that's been going on for probably 5 years. We thought we got somewhere in 2023, but we haven't. We've never actually formally received a proposal, actually. Well, the regulator is an interesting question. So, the regulator is going to control so many things. It's going to be a bit like Ofwat and Ofcom. They'll delve into everything that doesn't matter and won't actually fix a lot of the things that probably do. But sadly, that's the way of the world. But one of the things they have got involved in is this whole Premier League EFL. And because the regulator is under law of the land, has to produce a state of the game report within 18 months. Well, they've got it now. They've spoken to the Premier League and said, we've got this state of the game. I think you should do a deal with the EFL, because some of the stuff that's in the state of the game about the Premier League is, would be better if you'd done a deal, let's put it like that. So I think we're quite close to having done a deal. What the details of that deal are, I genuinely don't know. I've got some ideas. As I said to somebody the other day, if you've watched Sky, there's a guy called Eric Morgan, and I suspect that most of the things that go on the bottom are in there, right? But I'm not sure they're necessarily in the right order. And I'll find out a bit more tomorrow, Thursday rather, there's a board meeting. But it'll be significant for the club, because I believe it's going to be better than the deal we never got 3 or 4 years ago. But exactly how much, but more importantly, what conditions come with it regarding youth development and all sorts of stuff, trophy games, and everything's always tied up with, you've got the wrong colour shoelaces on and all that sort of stuff. So we're getting close. The regulator should take some credit for that, I think. And watch this space. From my point of view, when we discussed it at the board a couple of weeks ago, I would be really disappointed if we didn't see some result from it financially in this season quite soon. But I've been disappointed before days. So.
Yeah, another one for Charles. I suppose we'll go to the elephant in the room, which is where are we up to with the investment in the club? It's been 2 years since you opened it up to investors. There's been lots of rumours floating around over the summer about where things might be up to with that. So what sort of update can you give us in terms of any specifics about if it's happening and so on?
Well, I think it's an elephant in the room, isn't it? I mean, we've discussed it quite openly at the last 4 fans forums, and why don't you tell me?
We've probably been in this process for 2 years now. We've had probably 3 sensible people along the way. The people we're talking to at the moment, I think around the board table is the best fit, but they haven't got their money in place yet. So we can't move forward until we've got a handshake and some firm money commitments. But we do think we're talking to the right people, but it's whether they can get their finances in place.
I suppose I would add to that the people we spoke to before. It's about mix, right? You can speak to a very wealthy, Abramovich, but if he's going to sit 1,000 miles away and shout at you and say, "Why is Lee Bell the manager? Why don't you play 4-4-2?" etc. It doesn't work. We need people who actually understand football, understand academies. So the mix of those people, never mind the finance they bring to the table, the mix has to be right. They have to be experienced people. And a lot of people have seen some experienced people come in and out of the building over the course of the last few months, and they're involved. But they've got to get their act together first. But it's certainly true, as Julie says, that the money has to be worked out between themselves first, and then after that, we think the strategic fit looks good, and we think they understand what a club like Crewe Alexandra in League Two, you know, aspiring to get into the Championship, needs, wants, and should look like. And well, we spoke to 4 actually, haven't we? But one was a complete dead loss. Which, given that we've got people trying to stop us talking to, you know, a dead loss, we're enthused about, but only enthused to the point that it's positive conversation.
Going on from that to Charles and Jimmy, please. Mr. Bessos has got his feet under the table on his way to Anfield, so we've missed out on him, unfortunately. But the one thing I'd like to know is the constitution of the club, where there is 8 12.5% portions, if you like, or that's my understanding. Would this constitution have to change? Because a lot of us in this room have put our money in, of course, for our little 12.5%. Would that constitution have to change to facilitate anybody else coming in to take over a bigger portion?
Well, the simple answer is, at one end, absolutely, and at the other end, not a lot. It depends what we do. You know, if we're going to take a minor investment, then most people have 10%, by the way. You know, including the support, it's 9.89 or something, which is a really good number because it's a number that doesn't affect all the EFL regulations. But if they were just to put money in and they wanted a share, then your 9%, well, the support's 9% might look like 7.5. If they were to buy all of the shares, then you wouldn't have any. And the money would come into the club, and Mark would have you asking him what he's going to do with all that money he's got. So it goes from one end of the spectrum to the other, you know, in terms of what they would like to do. But for us, going back to the point before, from the gentleman before, the fact that it's inappropriate to go too far with this because they don't want to be public, they don't want, you know, because you see so many of these things, so-and-so's being bought by somebody that just disappears. So we're working hard behind the scenes, but they've got real interests as people, as companies, as existing organisations in sport, football and academies across the world. Now, that fits really well with us. So you've got to make that work, and then in answer to your question about the percentage shares and all that sort of stuff, that'll work its way through from hardly a twitch to none of us have any shares left, you know, if they bought the whole lot. So we'll see where we get to.
Thank you.
Going back? No?
I'll ask one. We're going to talk about this stadium then.
Billy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I've gone down to H now, and I've only got to go down 10 steps. So hard for me. Carl Bettany fell down. He's never been since. Ex-referee. But I was at Chester. Were you at Chester? He had like metal bars around, like loot. And you just get hold of them. It didn't block anybody's view. That's far better than having nothing. I mean, Jim, I don't know if you know Jimmy. He saved me about, I don't know how many times. He said, I won't have to save you anymore. I'm level with the exit, you know, the one at the bottom. I can get a cup of tea. So I've got something to hold on to. He's so dangerous, he needs something. You know, the Stafford Range, they got something. Or somewhere else, where else? You know?
The Vale.
Oh, the Vale had them as well. Vale had got sort of like...
No, you're right. It is a problem. My dad's in the same boat. He can't go up the steps, certainly can't get down. Everyone's hanging on for dear life. You're sort of holding on to each other as you come down for safety purposes, which isn't right. We have looked at it. We've been in touch with the council. We've looked at putting exactly what you're talking about in, because that would make sense. There is an issue, apparently, that there isn't enough of a gap, not enough width between putting one in the middle, then between each seat. So you've got to have a certain So our argument is, well, it's more dangerous as it is than nothing to hold on to. So it is something we're looking at, honestly. It's just, unfortunately, if I'm honest, it's probably been put to the back burner because of everything that's been going on, but obviously we do need to address it at some point because it is a serious safety issue, so I'm with you on that. Exactly, yeah, we're missing out, yeah, because we've got an elderly fan base and people want to come, and why shouldn't they? We've got to be, it's supposed to be about football for all, so we've got to make it as easy as we can, but it's more about the safety issues as well. I mean, it's not, yeah, but
we're not allowed to do it for safety reasons.
yeah, which is mad.
Because if you put it down the middle,
yeah,
can't get up.
it is something, Jim just said then, there is something about being able to get a stretcher up and down between if we have something in the middle, then we haven't got enough room. Yeah, so we can get a stretcher up there now if someone falls over, but it's more likely that someone will fall over the way it is, but if we're looking at it, will it?
How come Stafford's Rangers have bought?
They'll get away with it.
It must be simple, well, good point, it could be council. So we need, we need to be looking at it. It's on the agenda, I promise you we'll
Something's got to be.
No, you're right. You're spot on.
Just moving on from the last one, with the unlucky people that are in the Block H with pigeons. I alerted the club back beginning of January, end of December, saying that the pigeons were coming at the side and the flooring and all the seats were disgusting, and it was, thick with bird muck. Understand, it's a stadium, we're going to get the odd bit of bird muck here, there and everywhere. We have to sit there because my dad uses the commentary. He's not here tonight, he's on holiday. We weren't here on Saturday, but we were told on Saturday that our seats are actually condemned now. We can't actually sit in the seats. We don't know if that's true, that's just it.
It's not true, no.
Yeah, so moving forward, what's going on? Because I'm bringing a bag of cleaning items every match to clean the seats, but obviously I can't bring the brush to do the floor because it is a health and safety.
Right. Your question is unbelievably valid. Your complaint, I can only apologise for. The pigeons, since a lot of the trees went down the far side, decided to use us as their roosting point. So over the last 2 or 3 years, we've put all netting in the ceiling, right? So we don't get it on all the seats. Of course, what we didn't think about was, the pigeons are smarter than us. So they've gone to the sides. So at the weekend, we had a few complaints that people couldn't use their seats. Well, that was for the reasons that you said. So we did condemn them for the week. But we have ordered, and we are waiting for installation of netting all down that side, because those seats have been cleaned about 4 or 5 times during the close season to get it all off. And if you'd have come a week or 2 before, they were clean. But within a couple of days, all the pigeons come back. So they'll be netted, it'll be done, and hopefully that'll solve the problem.
Or where my dad was going to say, because obviously my dad uses the commentary, and I know another family, just a few rows below us, they've got a child with additional needs, and they sit in that section because it is a little bit quieter, easy to get in and out, but that's great if it's going to be sorted for a week on Saturday.
When I went to Milton Keynes away and watched us lose, I think 3-0 or something, the thing that I was most interested in was that they've got a peregrine falcon in the stand, and that peregrine falcon keeps pigeons away. So if you fancy getting a peregrine falcon, my best wishes.
I work in a school and they've had all sorts, because obviously the students put the litter on the floor and we get all the rules come in and things, we've had hawks and all sorts. So I understand you're going to get the odd bit of bird muck, but it did get to the point where it was absolutely disgusting. But I'm just glad that things are going to happen. So thank you.
You're doing this on purpose.
Trying to look at those legs. Oh, you got a tan, have you?
Lee, coming back to the football side of things, obviously seeing your interviews and so on with the difficulties of the loan market, and obviously what's going on behind the scenes is your business, and we'll hear about it when we do. But could you just give us a flavour of how things have changed in your time as manager in the loan market situation? I think most of us, well, maybe just me, I don't know, but we don't really understand how the loan market works and what the parameters are in relation to the fees that are talked about, the wages that are taken over, the numbers of times players are expected to play, or the parameters, if you like, that go on in your discussions. I think it would be useful for us to know.
Yeah, so the loan market is now, I think, super important to League One and League Two. I think it's a highly competitive market, the loan market. I do believe the clubs are taking more players just on loan to pad out squads more than it's happened in the past. That can be down to a number of factors, wages, etc., in terms of what's happening. We don't guarantee any game time to anybody when they come to the club. That is just something I would not do. You've got to buy into what we're doing, so I don't guarantee anybody. There's different ways of doing it. You can pay full wages for somebody, and then they come and you're a player. There's always the club you're getting the player from will always put a break clause in Christmas. They'll always do it. There's no way of doing it. The amount of times we've tried to say we don't want the break clause. No, it's standard. That's what they want. It's their player. If I'm honest, don't really care too much about what we're doing. It's about their player. So we have to suck that up and do that. There's then other ways in terms of they'll give you, say, you owe us £10 if they don't play so many games. You can start off with, I'm using obviously low numbers, it's more than a tenner, fellas, ladies. I'll just use an example, or they can go that there's a big amount of money that reduces every time the player plays, and at the end of it you owe us that amount of money if it does that. But I think our loan strategy and how we've used the players has been really successful, and it's a really good tool for us. We're trying to drip in longer contracts to players so we don't have to do as many loans, so we can keep a squad together for a longer period. We're looking at a 3-year plan to try and keep the squad together as best as we can, and then we don't have to always get the loans in. But we're going to try this summer in the next couple of weeks to really push and try and get some players in, which we'll find out in the next 10 days or so. It's just text me now, Josh Kennard. So no, but we'll find out shortly. But there's loads of different ways in which it works. It can be as simple as you can phone a club up and they go, "Yeah, we'll help you, no problem. You can have our player," and that's about it. And they come, and it's completely free. It doesn't cost us anything. We just have to insure the player, look after him. So there's numerous ways in terms of the way we can get a loan player in. But I do think it's a competitive market these days. I think League One and League Two particularly.
Thank you.
And on that as well, the way recruitment is now, it used to be more of a bit of a word of mouth. You'd know somebody at a football club and they've got you a good player and you can borrow the good player. The way recruitment is now, everybody knows about the good players at under 21 level or first year pros, second year pros at these clubs. So it is highly competitive to get these players, which then drives the price of that player up.
I'll ask Lee a few football questions, and I guess, and Ryan, apparently. All sort of moulded into one. Can you tell us, one, what your realistic ambitions are for this season? Do you see us playing incredibly passing football like we did last year, or is that unrealistic? And what really is the difference, and why do you do 5-3-2, 4-2-3-1?
I'll speak about the ambition. I mean, no secret about it. I remember when we took in Jack Powell and that year, them types of players, and we were unsure in terms of what that season was going to look like. And that was the truth. There was that much turnaround in players in terms of who came and who left the football club that year. And I think this is pretty similar. What I would say is we've got more confidence in the players that we've brought in, because we obviously know them in terms of Joe White and Luke Offord. And then we've done a lot of work on Jordan. He's been somebody we've tried to get a couple of times. So we're really confident within them players that we get, and then we're going to have to rely on younger players, but we also need the loan market, and a lot of it will depend on where we're going to be. You can see on Saturday we have got a very small squad, so it'll be a big help in terms of what we're able to do in the loan market, and then I'll give you a proper answer in terms of what I'm looking for then moving forward. What was the question, Charles?
The question was, it was about incredibly pressing football, and what's the difference between 5-3-2 and 4-2-3-1? I'll put them together with two separate questions.
Well, I don't want to speak on behalf of Valley, but I can imagine that we are going to be an attacking front-footed team, or try to be that the best we can with the players we have. The difference between 3-5-2 and 4-2-3-1, I don't think there's a lot of difference. I think it's all depending on what numbers you want to build with, what numbers you want to attack with, what you prefer in terms of patterns of play throughout the different thirds of the pitch. You can be a back four, but if you send your right back onto the last line, you then look like a back three. You might be a back three, and we did this a lot when we had Luke Offord the first time round. You were a back three and Luke Offord steps into midfield, which we've done multiple times previously. You then look like a back four. So I think the shapes are relevant. I think it's more about what you want from the players, where you want numbers on the pitch in terms of numbers out to build, numbers out to attack, how many players you want in and around their box. And then it's obviously down to the staff and us to try and get that to come out on the training pitch and replicate on Saturday.
One for Lee. We've got a friend who's an agent, and he spoke to me today, and he was saying about Man U, 21s and 18s have got squads of 30. Can we not tap into them, or would it be, I mean, it seems a surplus of players there. I mean, obviously, it's dependent on what you're looking for as in positional, and then is it wages as well would come into that?
Well, Josh will know
right,
all the players that are at that. I'll tell you why they've got a surplus of 30 players in each age group, because they stockpile players.
Yeah.
That's the simple fact of it. How the hell are all them going to play for Man United?
I know.
And it's part of the strategy that they put them on decent wages, and to get them, they go abroad, a lot of them. To get them, you have to give a loan fee, obviously not us, but a championship club, a League One club, give loan fees, they generate money, it's part of their model. But the only reason they certainly haven't got 30 players who could get in Crewe's team at 21. Definitely not. And we've got an insider at Man United, haven't we? Who can help us if there's a player there that they feel they can push, or we highlight one who will help us in that domain. But it's got to be a player that we want. We're not going around pestering people who work at Man United.
So that'll be the someone you want in a particular position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fernandez. There's a number of people on the emails asked a question about this year's kit and the fact that we've got to Puma and the sizes are all different, which might seem like a minor problem, but if you've got children and you have to buy adults for children, then you're paying adult prices for children's. Most of my family will seem to be about 6'3", and I've had to buy in adults. But it's a serious question for people, and I just thought I'd ask Tony. It's all right, John, don't because a lot goes into this decision.
Thanks, Charles. The reality is that we don't set the sizes. The sizes are determined by Puma, along with all kit suppliers, and they do vary from supplier to supplier. They also vary depending where the kit comes from, because typically sizes in Asia are somewhat smaller than sizes in Europe and North America. But we're stuck with really how Puma decide what their size is. So if they put in a 12-year-old in a discern that's the size they supply when we order a 12-year-old. There was another question about why we'd run out of certain sizes. We have to order this kit several months in advance because of the lead times. And when we make the orders, we've got obviously historic sales numbers. So we look at the historic sales records of the various sizes and shirts and whatever it is that we've sold and put orders in at the beginning based on that knowledge. And we have to try and predict what will sell. We do have the opportunity to reorder, we do, but it takes typically 6 to 8 weeks for any company, not just Puma. It was the same with FBT, because they all come from the Far East, and they all come on boats, and there's the added problem at the minute that international freight is having difficulties for reasons we all know, with the Straits of Hormuz being closed, which is affecting international shipping. So it's not an easy one, and people do, as Charles said, people do vary in size. One 14-year-old is not the size of another 14-year-old. So it's not something that we can easily change. We certainly can't dictate to Puma because we are a small player in their massive international market. And we would be the same, frankly, with any kit supplier. We're not the Man Uniteds, the Man Cities, the big boys who buy millions of shirts. We buy a few thousand.
We had about 4 questions on safe standing. A number of people wrote in my email about, why are the stewards more and more asking them to sit down, particularly in the Cresty Road end. The simple answer to that is the law of the land. So we're certainly not going to say, please stand up, because we would be... It's not only the law of the land, but it's also a law of the EFL. There is an answer to standing, and that is safe standing, which you'll see in Premier League grounds. But the cost of that is phenomenal. If season ticket holders behind the goal wanted to buy the safe standing, but it is an enormous cost. And of course, you've still got the same problem that some people don't want to stand anyway. So standing is an emotive subject, I know. I stand to watch most of my football, but the laws of the first point of call, the Safety Authority Group, they're here most match days, and they check that our stewards ask people to sit down, because that's all we can do. But I know it's frustrating and I know it's emotive.
Just a couple of questions that I was asked to answer, so I might as well do it now. They're both relating to entertainment and food and drink in the here and anywhere else in the ground. There is a serious element to this, but the question was, what is the club doing to improve the quality, value for money and availability of food on match days? Well, all I can say is that Guinness tastes really nice. And even better, Jimmy bought it. So in terms of the quality and value for money, I can't argue with it. Availability of food, I've got a feeling some people have said on Saturday that they ran out behind some of the bars. Don't know how true that is, but obviously we need to look into that. It's got nothing to do with meerkats, like in pies, more than lions do. But I can't believe that hasn't been mentioned yet, but nobody seems to be bothered. Take it, you've all seen it. And the other one was, what are we doing to try and improve things after the game about coming in here? Now, I know a lot of faces in here, obviously I can see, I've seen you in here, but I'd just like to know how many people in this room actually come in here after a game. Just put your hands up, the ones that actually come in. Yeah, so I'd say that's less than half of the actual people coming into this room. And I always have this argument about match day, people who come to football. Do they come to the football, or do they want more? Do they want entertaining? Do they want it to be a day out? And we're trying to improve that experience. We've got the fan zone before the game. We want to try and do more before matches. We want to make it a family day out. And we want people to use this lounge before and after as well, and obviously any of the other bars that we've got. So it's trying to find something that will attract people in that isn't just about the football. So we need to, have done more this year. We've had some fantastic evenings in here after games. I can assure you, you don't want to miss it. Sometimes it's been rocking in here. I don't think a lot of people even know it's open after a game. And it's open behind the goal before the game as well. So people don't get confused that the old railway end isn't occupied. Well, it is. You can go in there. People who use that stand can go upstairs, up and use it at half time, get a drink. Underneath the stand for the kids, they've got loads of entertainment, they've got loads of games and things like that. So anyone who's used that as well, I think we have got things here that probably people don't know much about. So maybe that's our fault for not letting people know. But the fact that you're here and you're obviously really interested, I think we've got to try and do something to get that message out. And also put on things that you want. It's no use as putting things on that you don't. So we need to know from you. That's partly my job. I want you to tell me what do you want? What can we do? So don't be frightened of just letting us know.
Tribute acts.
Yeah, well, we've had some. Yeah, we've had Oasis tribute bands. Well, person in singing afterwards. I'm not going to mention Spirit in the Sky because everyone's bored of seeing it, but I thought we've had and one thing that we do get a lot of is people watching us from other foreign football clubs. Get an awful lot of Norwegians coming, and they use this club a lot, so they like it, So again, that's something we need to sort of embrace. But yeah, so again, if you've got any ideas, anything you want to put on, honestly, we listen, and I think we have done a lot. I mean, I'm joking about the Guinness. I mean, a couple of years ago, it was canned Guinness, and we said, no, we want proper Guinness, so we changed it, and now it's back to proper Guinness again. So, we do listen, and we do try and do what we can, but if you've got issues, if you've got any complaints, anything that, if food is running out, if the queues are ridiculous, then let us know. Obviously, we want to try and rectify it. Okay.
Can I just come in there, Mark? Can I just come in with regards having artists? The one problem we do have is having events on after the game. So we are trying with music, and we do try to get at least 6 artists a season if you fall in line with the room being available to you. So, we can sell that better.
There's a question here about having an open training session on the pitch during like a half term, or like we've now got full term for the school kids, which is something we spoke heavily about. We discussed it in the summer. The pitch has obviously had some great work done to it, and unfortunately it's about timing for this summer to do that. We spent some money on it. Josh is doing a great job with it. We had to protect the pitch. Been mentioned about doing one at the training ground, bringing a food ban in, ice cream, putting a training session on. Then we've got an issue of parking in terms of, could be 1,000 people turn up and nowhere for anyone to park. But it is something we will consider to do, if not this season, definitely next season.
Sorry, Lee, just to move on from that as well. In this lounge after games as well, the players do what they can to come through. So they'll make the effort to come in, and I know Lee pushes them to do that. So not many clubs get the directors, the fans, the players, the families all in one place after a game, and I think that's unique to us because I don't go to many places where it's like that. So no. So it's Oh, you mean normally? Well, we do what we can to push them, and I know Lee.
We try everything to get them to come in, and even if they don't walk through, there's definitely more than 2 or 3 that just come to the door. And then what they started to do as well, when we've had a 2-minute chat with them after the game, they're actually going back out onto the concourse to the players. So the players are definitely to the little fans that I think there's about 50 of them waiting after the game Saturday, so they're definitely making an effort. What they're not going to do is, if people have been drinking, they're not going to walk through and start sitting on tables and stuff. You approach them as they're walking through and they'll say hello and things like that. We want the kids to see them, but what the feedback I've had from the players is people are heavy drinking and going over to them and saying stuff, and it's not nice for them, is it? We want them to come in here and enjoy coming in and seeing the fact. So a lot of them come to the door, spend 5 minutes signing, all the kids go to the door, and some of them will go out that way, but we do encourage them to come through.
Hang on, David. Hang on, mate.
They do that afterwards, so that's they do the man, because literally we don't spend ages talking to the players afterwards. We've got time to decombust ourselves, so we do a lot of it on Monday. The man of the match thing can take as long as it wants. Once they
So a lot of the time, by the time a lot of people have got in here, they're walking off and it's done and dusted and they've missed it because they kind of come straight in, I think, don't they?
No, they'll always come into the dressing room first, so they'll always have to, they don't come in here first, they have to go in the dressing room. We spend 5 minutes, the time before they've all got in here, in the dressing room. By the time we've spoke to them, we've had a quick chat in terms of what we're going to say to the players, probably 5 minutes, and then after that, that's down to the people that organise them coming in here. If they want to wait 10 minutes to allow everybody to come down, that's down to them to organise, but we're not with the players for long. I will try my best to make sure they come through. I promise you I'll try everything I can.
Any truth in the room again? Bid for Hollycheck?
Me? Want me to answer? There's a club showed some interest, likewise with many of our players showed interest, and they're a million miles away from where we see matters. That's as simple as that, a million miles away. And you say interest, there was obviously if someone wants to talk to a player, there's interest, but it wasn't realistic interest.
Just one on the goalkeeping situation, sorry. Of course, like Ian Lawler's injury probably hit you at the worst time, like around the eve of the season, him needing to go in for an operation, and I believe he's out for 6 weeks or something like that. Maybe you could tell us about what happened with his injury. You also mentioned about going and getting a goalkeeper to support Tom Booth. Is that a free agent or a loanee? So just sort of what your plans are for the next, whilst Ian's out, what is your plan to sort of support Tom in the second choice goalkeeper role?
Yeah, so Ian's injury has just come literally in the last 3 weeks. He's not had any pain in his groin areas, nothing. Just thought it was perhaps a bit of pre-season training, needs a bit of downtime. After a week, I think physios are going to get him looked at just in case, small hernia. Either play through it and not play as well as he can, and then have a longer period out. So we've got for hopefully around the 4-week mark before he comes back. We'll explore the goalkeeping avenue in terms of what it looks like. Heavy discussions in terms of looking at goalkeepers. Goalkeeper that we were looking at has gone to somewhere else as well. And what we don't want to do is just keep going down the list. And it's about forging that plan in terms of what it looks like. Ian's our number one, and will be, when he's back fit, will be our number one goalkeeper. So it's about forging the right plan. Coming up, we've got priorities in other areas on the pitch that we'd like to get as well. So we don't want that lone goalkeeper. It will be a loan. It won't be a free agent. It'll be a loan. Probably we don't want that to impact on the other areas we're trying to work at.
Just a quick follow-up on that one then. What does that say to Tom Booth then, that if he plays out of his skin for the next 6 weeks, that if it's still a case of, well, sorry Tom, you're still going to go back onto the subs bench and Ian's coming back in regardless of how you play in the next few weeks, do you think that would not affect him a little bit, and to know that he's not going to start regardless of how well he does?
No, but it depends. Ian's our number one, so as we're sitting here now, he's our number one. Tom Booth plays out of his skin and plays to the level we know he can. He's going to stay in goal, isn't he? But I sit here now, Ian Lawler's my goalkeeper, and my thinking ahead plan is, like if Mickey got injured, how Mickey's going to get back into the team is, but if someone in that meantime, for 6 weeks, plays better really well. They keep the place, and I'm generally quite good at that. Me and Ryan, who reward players when they're playing well.
Yeah, just two footballing questions. One following up from that. So with the lone keeper, is that sort of just coming in to sit on the bench, or is that to actually be the number one for a temporary period of time? And secondly, I was just wondering sort of what you see as Joel Taverner's best position. I mean, I think we were all very pleased to see him back on Saturday, but I was maybe quite surprised to see him sort of playing sort of deep line midfield, because I feel his best football's been sort of out wide, so I was just interested what position you see him as, or is that just out there?
Yeah, but the goalkeeper situation, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because we've got Tom, and then the loan market, you've got to then try and persuade a goalkeeper. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? It's hard then to talk to his parent club about that, with that decision, knowing that then your other goalkeeper's going to come back as well. So it's a difficult position to be in, but one we'll be ready for, and one we're not really over panicked with at the minute. The options that we've looked at, let's say, is beginning to now get away from us. One's gone somewhere else, and what we don't want to do is just, we're really mindful of our loans just coming in and sitting on the bench. They'll have to at some point during the season. Everybody needs a rest, but it just kills what we're trying to build and relationships with clubs a little bit. But we're not overly panicked with it at the minute, unless Boothie gets injured, and then you're playing. So.
Joel Taverner. I think, especially with the players that have come through the system and got into the team, it shows that they have the adaptability to play in multiple positions, and Joel is certainly one of them. I think Joel's best position personally is in the middle of the pitch, because I think he runs games. I think he's got energy, vision, technical ability to be able to play off both feet. He can play higher up the pitch, off the side, because he's so intelligent. If that's going to be his position going forward, in time he's got to add numbers to that. And I think his best numbers will come from creating as opposed to scoring. Well, that doesn't mean Joel can't play higher up the pitch. He's got the attributes to play anywhere in the middle of the pitch, 6, 8, 10, 7 or 11, because of his high skill set. And the next probably 12 to 18 months, depending on how he does in certain positions, will probably dictate where he's going to end up for the rest of his career.
Yeah, good question.
I've got one from Alan Hardman. Is it possible to go back to the days of what you would probably call walkout music? The final countdown sticks in my mind and never fails to get the fans going. I'm sure that somebody's looking at that, where Mr. Beckett is. Is he here? Where is he? Is that right? Yeah. No? So there you are, Mr. Hardman.
Yeah, Mickey, got in touch with Jake Breezy the other. Yeah, our captain Mickey got in touch with Breezy last week to talk about entrance music for the players. So I think we're going to do a vote with supporters to get some suggestions over the next couple of days to see what you want. I don't know if anyone's got any suggestions in their own.
Yeah, not have any.
I'm not trying to call music or walk on music now.
Goal music.
Put that idea in the bin then.
Go for a bit of Queen. Have you ever been to Burton when Burton scored a goal? Oh, God. Fleetwood. We got no chance.
No.
No what?
Hiya, I'm just curious about the new Compare the Market sponsor. And I'm feeling you want to ask that question. How do we gain much more from that? And do we gain anything from having our name changed for a couple of weeks?
The answer is yes, I think we did. We didn't have a lot of choice, but we did embrace it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's quite a big deal that they've done with the EFL. It's worth about £5 million, I think, in total. And the way it was presented to the board at the EFL, £5 million is a big sponsor for the EFL. And of course, they've been looking around for weeks as to where they would go. And one day, he gets a phone call which says, "How about Alex Smith?" And it went from there. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if we were to be called out for the rest of our time, then I suspect people might have something to say about it. But as a launch for Compare the Market, I think it's great. And Dean Ashton's obviously, embraced it. The club's embraced it. Everybody seems to have embraced it. And it puts us on the map, doesn't it? So, I want to make a couple of quid out of it. So, but there's not many. There is only one Alexander in the league, so we only have one place to go, right?
Have we? Where are we on the 150 celebration thing? Are you allowed to tell us anything yet?
You would. But Tony knows more.
Yes, we have a little group working on it. We're looking at all sorts of ideas. Ideas are welcome as well. We will be doing something special throughout the year, not just as a one-off event. And it's still a little bit away yet, but we obviously have to plan. You've seen, hopefully, you took part in the ballots on shirts and all that kind of thing. That's part of it. The reason we've had to do that now, even though it's for next season, is lead times on kit, and we also have to get all this signed off by the EFL, the regulator, and all that takes time. So we went early with that part of it to get that in progress, but there will be events throughout the year. We're hoping to have some one-offs, and we're still looking at ideas. But we want to have a programme of events. We want it to be a special year. In my lifetime, it'll only be the next big milestone, so we don't want to miss it. We're talking to the council about trying to get things in the town, and get other people involved as well to do as much with it as we can. But seriously, if anybody's got any really good ideas, we're prepared to listen.
Speaking of what we want to do for the anniversary coming up, we've all voted to go for the badge with the wheel. Why can't we bring it back full time? It's part of our history. Why did we remove it? Why can't we keep it?
Yeah. We voted to have it back for a year, and we'll take a view, but we won't do anything, whatever individuals may think, or even the board may think, this is something now which is in law, so we won't be doing anything without, going to fans. And as you saw, we went to fans electronically, we went to fans through the gate, and we went to fans through the RSS. And we'll do the same again when we look at whether we should keep it. But for now, we got to a position, certainly with the badge, where everybody thought it was a good idea.
Just on that, does everyone know what the results were? Have we put any results out? You say nearly everyone did vote. I think it was 90% 93% voted for the wheel to come back. The kit, the home kit, was a lot closer, but that went in favour of the red kit. Most sort of... oh, sorry, what? Yeah, they did, yeah. Yeah, they did, yeah, they voted. I didn't, but I mean... no, the RSS didn't vote for the red kit. No, the RSS members, they voted for the blue and white. I don't know whether it's because of the historical meaning of the blue and white kit, but I mean, the red kit looks fantastic as well. So I mean, yeah. So that's what we've established so far. But there is still issues to be done with the independent regulator. We have got a whole host of questions we have to go back to make sure that we've done it the right way. But hopefully we have. I think we did got a really good response from the supporters on that. Don't think we could have got any more feedback if we'd have tried. So yeah. But the 150th year, as Tony said, we wanted to make it a real big year. We wanted to start off with a fantastic event, whatever that might be, good pre-season friendly, something like that. I'd like a nice pre-season tour, but I'm not sure whether we'll be able to get that. We'll have to see Lee. RSS sponsored tour, yeah, everything that costs money seems to be RSS sponsored. But yeah, we'd like a pre-season tour, we'd like a really good pre-season friendly, and as Tony said, a table of events right the way through the season, culminating in hopefully getting promoted. Who knows? And a good cup run, yes.
Dave. Billy.
Shall we in, Phil?
No, I went to Prescott. What was the reason for the game not being played? We were having a meal at the time. My son said in the band that they're not going to play it. I said, oh, glad they're not there if it's... He said the pitch was hard and roughy. Was that the reason?
Yeah, again, I'm not sitting here being disrespectful to anyone. The pitch is probably going to cause us injuries. It probably looked like the dance floor there, if I'm honest, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but it was the right decision, yeah. Joel Taverner was no chance he ever wanted to step foot on that pitch. So we came back to the training ground and had a good match and got what we needed.
Well, I got back with my son, learned a lot of things he was doing. Never had a one-to-one like that. Not this one, the other one. Yeah. Why can't you have a tournament at the end of the season for the youth kids, Crewe or wherever? I mean, I used to do tournaments like Northwich, Nantwich, and they use the pitch, but some have got 4Gs, which is no problem.
It's the pitch. It's the pitch. We are absolutely, I mean, next season going into the 150, I mean, we'll be working it to hours, that pitch, because we have to assume we're going to be the Grenos, don't we? Yeah. And when you put the dates in for Josh to get on it at the time that we need, we actually went on it 2 days early for the Stoke game. There just isn't the time. I mean, we put the local league finals on there, and we're going to try and save that day. But outside of that, it's just so difficult. And now regulations are coming in on pitch where fines are going to take away the money. You know, we're going to have pitch scores that are a lot higher than we've had. We're going to have to put investment in the pitch, which to date we've been trying to put investment in, but not at that level, because Sky's saying, you know, we don't want matches off. We want them stitched, we want them drained, we want them this, we want them that. So the chances of using our pitch out here, as opposed to say Shellington or Breeze Heath, are reducing every day. And if we want to tell you anything else, Louis.
Lee, midfield, there's an argument we've got 5 number 10s. How do you see your composition of your midfield with the players that we've got? Obviously we've got Jack Lancaster, Joe White, Owen, Matters, Tabs. I mean, like I say, it's almost like we've got 5 number 10s. How do you see your midfield sort of shaping up and forming up?
With 5 number 10s. They're capable of playing in all different positions, aren't they? Jack Lancaster, for instance, no disrespect to Jack, he can play centre forward off the side and number 10. We won't play him as a 6, would we? Unless we get really low. Owen Lunt's going to have to play as a 6. Matt Solacek is playing as a 6. They're just talented players, and I think Ryan touched on it earlier. They'll play all over the place. Callum Magius has played there numerous of times. Joe White can play higher. He likes to play coming from deeper to get higher up the pitch. That's what he likes to do. He doesn't necessarily thrive and want to be just an out-and-out 10, but he'll end up playing there at some point this season. It's just good to have good players to be able to pick from in that area of the pitch.
It is the one position that we're actually very well catered for, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Midfield, right?
Midfield, it is, in terms of a different type of balance. Again, an area of the pitch that we are still looking at. Do we need to try and add in that area as well? Likewise, centre half, likewise, centre forward. So we're always looking to see what we can do, but we've got good players who can play in them positions. Had Luke Crewe come on and scored the other day. He will probably get game time from off the side, but he can also play 10, play deeper for the 21s. I don't particularly like pitching old players, because if you play 10 wing, you're based on numbers. Sometimes you're not that type of player where you're going to get a lot of numbers, but you can run a game in terms of getting on the ball and moving the ball around. So there's loads of advantages for them 5 number 10s to be able to play everywhere.
To be fair, I asked the question of Joe White, and his answer was, I'm a central midfielder, power to him.
That's what we signed him as? Yeah, signed him, yeah.
Going back to my youth in the 60s, we had a junior supporters club here, and Harold Finch used to run it. We used to go all over the country following the lads who played other teams' junior supporters clubs, and it was fantastic. I went to Chester, we went into the bar beforehand, sat with the Chester supporters, Birmingham supporters were here following week, all fine, and it was a nice atmosphere, and that seems to be something that we were worried about in our previous forums. We're a friendly club. I like to meet the away supporters, have a chat, see what's going on. Good humoured rivalry is fine, but when I watched what was going on at Molineux last week, I just thought, good heavens, that is something that happened in the 80s and so on that I don't want to see. Charles, you mentioned about the problems that there had been with visiting fans and the reception they got from some of ours. Has that been put to bed, and are you comfortable with where we are now, or is it still a worry?
It's not a worry, but I can tell you that Bev, Cliff Simpson, and there's sort of 6 or 7 top stewards that control all the stewards. We're on it every week, every single week. The plans that go into every game are significant, aren't they? And listen, at the end of the day, how you measure these things depends on how old you are, what your experience is, and all the rest of it. But I think at Crewe, we've got a good setup. Does everybody sit down? No. Right? Does everybody sit down everywhere else? No. When Paul Bell comes, does it get fruity in that corner? Yeah. We get good marks, we get good reports and reviews. The Safety Authority Group, which is a legal entity again, right, comes and they watch our stewards, trying to get people to sit down or stop them shouting, things at female physiotherapists, for which we got fined significantly. So it's a day-by-day thing, but I'm really not worried about it, and I really don't think we should investigate it. My grandkids come and all the rest of it. Does every now and again something flare up? I suppose it does. But we won't take our eye off it, and as long as we don't, I think we'll be okay. But, you know, Port Vale's always going to be a different match to Accrington Stanley, isn't it? I mean, we nearly invited the Accrington Stanley crowd into our boardroom because it would have been easier to look after them in our boardroom than open a stand. You know, I mean, there was only 120 paying fans, you know. So that situation is very different to Port Vale, isn't it? Which obviously is different to Port Vale and Molyneux. And if anybody didn't think that was going to happen, you know, they're not watching, are they?
No, exactly. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I hope we've covered, well, we've certainly covered most of the things that were in the people who were unable to attend and the emails that they sent. There's nothing, you know, which is not on the agenda that you can't ask us, and I hope you'll continue to do so, whether it's in this forum or whether it's via emails to info@Crewe Alexandria, because believe it or not, we read it from Alexandria every single day of the week. So what you think and what you want to ask, you know, are important, because it's made a difference, and I think you'll see the difference over the last few years as to how we've tried to change a lot of things. We're not perfect, probably never will be, but, you know, whether it's our views on the team and the way we play football, or, you know, how many brews we can get through at half-time in the T-bar, you know, right the way through to, well, why doesn't the board put more money into the club and what we do with investment? They're all valid subjects, and as best we can, we will be as transparent as we can for as long as we can. So, thank you very much for coming, and see you a week on Saturday, or some of you at Crawley. Thank you.